city. I never knew what would happen in a day.
Good evening, it's me, your friendly neighborhood psychic, Brough Perkins. I'm back. It's Monday night. My goodness, June the 2nd, 2025. How is everyone? Suzanne she had a prior engagement, so she won't be joining us tonight, but she extended her well wishes to all of you. Our callers, our lovely, lovely callers and viewers. So we have a couple of things to get to tonight. I thought I would just warm up the stream. Normally, this is where I talk with Suzanne or any of my guests about a topic. But I had one that I wished to talk about with you guys before, well, we wait for everyone to get in and get settled. So let's take a look at this fun story here. We've got U.S. fugitive. It's all in the title, folks. U.S. fugitive psychic caught in Toronto after 21 years on the run. A fugitive psychic who escaped justice for over 2 decades is finally in custody. Patrick Lutz Jr., wanted in Florida for a 1998 drunk driving crash that killed 2 teenagers. I think this was on Christmas Day. Was arrested in Toronto. For 21 years, Lutz lived openly under an alias, working as a self-styled psychic and hosting trivia nights while evading U.S. authorities. That's him right there, folks. It's not me, okay? First of all, safe. Okay, this is just, don't mean to make light of a tragedy here, but this is just, we'll get to it. Drunk driving crash that sparked a manhunt on Christmas Day, 1998. A night of heavy drinking ended in tragedy. Lutz slammed his pickup truck into another vehicle in Orlando, Florida, killing Nancy Lopez, 19, and Darvin Javier DeJesus Tabauda. I almost had the name. I almost had it, but there's always an extra freaking name. 18. Far too young. His blood alcohol level was 0.272, more than 3 times the legal limit. Facing DUI manslaughter charges, Lutz disappeared before his 2003 plea hearing. A new life in Toronto, hiding in plain sight. Despite being a wanted man, Lutz resurfaced in Toronto, blending into city life under the alias Pat Lighthelp. It's always a light help. It's always a, mystic river moon. He built a new persona as a psychic reader, offering relationship advice at $4.50 US dollars. You get what you pay for, folks. Permitted on platforms like Life Reader. It's always the platforms, too. He even co-hosted a horror-themed trivia night on Church and Wellesley, which is the Toronto Gay Village, everyone, by the way, in Toronto, where all the, what's it called? All the churches are on Queen Street and all the queens are on Church Street. That's right. That's the saying. Toronto's 2S LGBTQ plus neighborhood. He started photos of ski trips, concerts, social events, all while using a fake name. There is no evidence his Toronto friends knew about his past. How anonymous tips led to his arrest. The long hunt reignited in November 2023 after an anonymous tip from Florida suggested Lutz was hiding in Canada. Authorities traced him to a high-rise in downtown Toronto. On February 26, 2025, the Toronto Police Fugitive Squad arrested Lutz under the Canadian Extradition Act. He's scheduled to appear in court later this month. Very good. Here's him at one of his trivia nights. So again, okay, the story is very stressful for me because, of course, I often make a joke about all of the different ways my field of work is essentially slandered and marred and sullied by these sorts of people, these low-level drudges in life, con artists, people literally fugitives. Great, another one. I used to think it was just the bleach blonde-haired failed real estate agent who's now a psychic. Now we've got fugitives on the run who are joining the coalition of psychics here, folks. My God, it's that woman who always is she never does readings. I've asked these people to come on my show and do some live readings for my callers. They never want to do that. They want to teach a course. Those who teach can't do. And it's always their first career where they made all their money was divorce, and now they're a psychic. It's always these people whose lives are a complete disaster who are going to be your psychic now. That's what we always get in this field. It's unbelievable. So I thought I'd share that story and my first office in a Victorian mansion on Isabella Street was in that neighborhood. Effectively, I was practicing as a psychic up the street from this guy all those years. And, again, how to tell the difference between a real psychic versus a fraud. So we'll have a checklist. I'm just going to give it to you right now. I'll probably put this on my new website, which is about to be launched in a number of weeks. But your first thing is, psychics who are real don't let you ask questions during or before the session. You're not supposed to tell us why you're there. That's our job. We tell you. Another thing is, the best psychics, you're always going to hear of us through word of mouth. You're not going to hear of us through an online reading platform, whatever the heck that is. Your friends, your colleagues, your family, people that have been to us, who you trust, will tell you about us. That's why I've never advertised. I just do word of mouth. If what I'm doing helps people in the spirit of the show that you're watching right now, anyone can call in. I don't charge any money. This is not a platform. I'm putting myself out there, and I believe in this work, and you can call in with any problem, and we'll see if we see something. Sometimes you get an amazing zinger, I call it, in this field of work, where I'm tuning in for you and I see the name of a dead loved one. Other times you'll have, oh my God, the reading might be about your life. It might be about a problem you're having at work. It might be a prediction that comes true. And then, as we've had so many callers call back in and report things I had said on the show that came true, you're going to have evidence, and that's important. Another checklist is, real psychics, we tend not to have a neon sign or a sandwich board out front that says palm reader, or we don't open a shop like that. Most of us are pretty well hidden. We don't advertise. But again, because if the work speaks for itself and the readings help you, you're going to send your friends, you're going to send your family, you're going to get the word out there. And that's what I endeavor to do with a show like this, is to show people the difference between genuine paranormal phenomena and false. And to that point, anything I do, whether it be a live stream like this or a course like we're arranging an astral projection course soon, I am here to help facilitate a genuine paranormal experience for you. I want you to have this. I want you to experience this, so there's more to life than just the material, and that we survive death, and that brings a lot of solace, a lot of hope, and it reorients your perspective of life, so you can be less materialistic, more focused on relationships. That's the point. That's what this is for. So like people, I'm sorry, who are failed real estate agents who think they're intuitives now and they're going to teach a course for $5,000, they're not your answer. And neither is Mr. Lutz, apparently, on the run for 23 years. Unbelievable. We have Joyce says in the chat, looking forward to the new website. Oh yes, very much so, Joyce. By the way, everyone, I was having some audio issues with my device before, so let me know if you can hear me okay. I do have a caller, I believe. Let's bring Tammy on the line. Tammy's a good friend of the show. Hi, Tammy. I'm just jumping into a call with you real quick. Do you have anything on your mind? And could you hear me is the more important question.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Did you hear my stream? Was my audio coming through okay?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. All
right.
Right.
It was an interesting story that you told there.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting stories in my field of work. So, I'm not officially taking calls yet, but I saw you waiting there, and I know that you'd called in a couple of other episodes, so I just wanted to have you on and see how you're doing.
I'm doing okay. I did have a question about my sister.
Oh, yeah. Okay. And this is a living sister. This is your, your sister.
Yeah.
Okay. So feel free.
If she's gonna, be okay.
Mm-hmm. Is this with regards to, because I'm getting two areas. I'm getting finance and health. Is that both for her or one in particular?
One in particular.
It's health more so, you're thinking?
Yeah.
Her diagnosis is in time. It's been timely, and they're catching it early, and they're removing something. Is this something to do with cancer or a lesion?
It's cirrhosis of the liver.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Now, with cirrhosis, sometimes what they might do is focus on a targeted area of the liver. I thought it was like a cancer or something because I was getting a lesion, but cirrhosis will have lesions as well. So that's the area that I think they're going to focus on. And I'm seeing it close to, I don't know if it's internal, but I'm in the main bulk of the liver, but they might rejuvenate or cut something out that then allows it to regrow. So there might be some procedure that's done for her in the next year or two. Yeah, I think she'll be all right.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not just alcohol. Like, I feel like medication is a part of this too. Is she on a
No, she doesn't drink. I mean,
yeah.
She Yeah, she's got a brain injury, right? So,
Right. So it's she's probably on a
um,
lot of medication because it's not
yeah,
alcohol. It feels like
yeah,
medication related. So they're going to have to taper down on some things and find solutions there. They're going to rejigger her whole process. That's what I see.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was kind of concerned about that. I was just kind of came to a shock, you know.
Yeah. It is. I've heard from 3 people today about health diagnoses that are quite shocking. So that's
Yeah,
definitely up there. But a good thing is I'm taking something for my joints, which has the unintended side effect of helping with liver health and healing the liver, and it's called Arctic Kemp fish oil, and it's like tablets. You can find a good source for this, and something about the smaller creature like the Kemp. It's got more nutrients and more things in it. Suggest it to your sister, but of course she should check to make sure that doesn't conflict with any medication as well.
right.
Yeah.
That's fish oil, right?
Yeah, Arctic Kemp
Yeah.
fish oil, Arctic Kemp
Okay.
oil in particular. It's a
Okay.
very, very potent thing. I was on medication that was so powerful it made my stomach bleed at one point. A few weeks ago I was having a lot of trouble, and
Okay.
within a day of taking Arctic Kemp oil, I can walk, I can move, I'm feeling much better, and it helped with inflammation, it helps with joints, it helps with liver, it's everything.
Oh, geez, maybe I should try that.
Definitely, definitely. So I got you on the weed drinks. Now I'm getting you on the Arctic Chem oil. I mean, you're turning into
Right.
me. But you seem a lot happier, Tabby. So that's good.
Well, yeah, I am. I'm
Uh,
gonna do my weed drink pretty soon.
that's awesome. What flavor did you get tonight?
I got the cola. I like that one.
I have a cola.
The
Well, that's
cola
the
one.
last one I have left. I've got a cola one, but I drank a blue one. So what it is for just so the watchers don't judge us here. We're taking like 5 milligrams here. Okay, we're taking like 10 milligrams. This is medicinal. It's just a little bit of THC with the balance of the CBD, which is anti-inflammatory. And it actually,
Right.
I find the CBD, if I take 20 milligrams of that, it counter affects a lot of the psycho elements or psychoactive elements of the THC. So I don't go off on, I'm not high, I'm just relaxed, and I find that really helps medicinally as well.
It does, yeah.
And it's natural, right? It's not
Right.
taxing your liver or anything. So that's the other benefit. Well, thank you, my dear. It's always lovely to see your face, and I know we're getting into summer mode here, aren't we?
Well, we are, yes. Nice
Yeah.
out today.
Well, we'll do a backyard stream at some point. I have a feeling. So I'll keep you in the
Yeah.
weight room, but I'll take this opportunity to let everyone watching know you can call in with your questions. We're going to try something a little different today. Before you call in with a question for me about your life or about a loved one, write that question on a physical piece of paper. It seems silly, but this is going to make a difference. Well, we're going to experiment. It should be the new way we do things here. And it's very much like what I do. In fact, it's exactly like what I do with my private readings, where my clients who are coming to me prepare by creating a list of questions, think of it like a journal to the universe before they have their session. And then when I start to do the reading, they tell me that I answer the questions on their list without them asking. So what I thought we would try, and this will be the new standard with my future guests as well, like whether Suzanne or other psychics come on, is you have your question written, but you don't ask it out loud on camera. What you do is let me tune in first, and I'll tell you what I see. So feel free, callers. Now's your chance to start dialing in. You'll see the numbers, and I'll post another link shortly as well. Play our little fun graphic because we're getting a little graphical. We're getting better with the show as we go. Here we are. So let me find you a link. We've got some phone numbers as well if you'd prefer to call in using your phone. So what I'll do first in the comments below is I'm going to drop the list of numbers with the passcode. So that's what you can use to call in if you want to do old style phone call. But if you'd like to do your Zoom direct link to me, I'm going to post that in the chat as well. Now, remember when you call in to activate your microphone, tap your microphone to unmute yourself. Please, if you don't mind, go on camera. It's just far more interesting for the show. Please, if you absolutely can't go on camera, I understand, but let's try it with camera. All right, we're going to bring Judy on. Let's see here. We've got Judy. Judy. I don't know if you've called in before. You might be a return, Judy. I don't know.
Hi.
Hi, Judy. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, I can hear you. Let's.
My
I'm gonna go to my. Oh, this is not the right view here. I'll just do that, and I'm gonna turn your camera off because it won't work. So feel free, ask a question. Did you have one for me that you prepared?
I do, yeah.
And
Last
don't, before you say it out loud, did you write it on paper like I suggested?
I did.
Okay, let's just go with that. Let's try it like I suggested first, and then we can get to asking it if I don't cover it. Even though there's different things going on with your life, there's just a woman around you in spirit who there's two women actually. One's a mother, but then the other one's closer to your age. Did you ask about a female friend that passed away?
No.
Okay, that's not a question you have. Okay, but I'm seeing that. Hold on just a sec. Yeah, because I'm getting a sense of that woman, and she's not very old, and she might have had cancer, and then the D name, Dorothy, Diane, I don't know, but I'm getting at, it's not ringing any bells to you?
No, that's not who I have in mind.
But you don't know anyone who died by that name, who died early by the standard of the day?
No.
Okay, because keep in mind, it won't always be what you're hoping for, but sometimes we get a straggler. Now, I'm going to say that entity might be connected to someone else who's meant to call in tonight. So let's leave that on the shelf. Let's go to you more so. Now, when I first said, I know you've got a lot going on in your life, but I had that woman coming in, is it because your question's more about your life?
Not my life.
Your life.
Because
Yeah.
because it's this person is affecting me.
Right. Give me one sec here. I'm going in the area of your romantic life. Is this a husband to you, or is it a partner that you think of like a husband?
No.
Who's the connection to you? What's the area?
Sister.
A sister. Okay, give me one sec, because I'm getting two things going on. I'm getting working on your relationship with your partner,
I am that, yeah.
and actually returning to therapy that you did, but it didn't work because you didn't stick with it, and it wasn't the right therapist.
That
And
could be. Do you remember just now you said a D?
yeah.
That's my partner.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. But
But that's not the person I wrote the question about.
perfect. We'll get to the person you wrote about in a minute, but just to finish up with your partner, yeah, a return to therapy, because one of the problems that you have in the communication with each other is that neither of you have the coaching to know how to talk about the issue. So it's like someone to be a coach or a referee, if you will. That's going to be very good for your dynamic, and then you're going to get on track. He also needs to get a life a little bit. He needs to get back to, and he wants to get back to his hobbies and things, and I feel like he needs to be outdoors. And I think part of the problem is a bit of cabin fever for the two of you as well. And one of the things you feel is that you're together, but you don't do anything. Is that true?
Sounds about right now.
Yeah, and you need him out of your hair a bit, to be honest. You need to be connecting with your girlfriends, and you need to be doing things that are good for your health, in particular, like movement of your body. And he needs to be engaged with his activities in nature. Okay, that's a clue for you. That's what it's going to look like when you guys are more healthy as a couple, which then will feed back into you feeling like you have support from the most important relationship to you, which should be your husband, or your hubby, I could call him, because you'll have to deal with your sister, you have to deal with your family, you have to deal with everything. See how your guides are putting it in a structure? And so your sister, all I'm getting there is a C. Oh, first of all, C or K name comes to mind. I don't know if that's her or if that's someone in the story connected to her. But I also feel like meddling and not being forthright or fully honest with the family about certain things to do with legal papers, legal agreements, things like this, and trying to finagle and get things her way. And I'm getting a lot of that going on as an element of the bigger story. And then, so this is a person, your sister is a person who thinks that she's entitled and is in a state of neediness, and you don't know quite how to help her, and you're trying to maintain and elevate the relationship, and be a good sister, but she's sort of not interested in that. She's more interested in sort of getting what she can because she thinks she's in a state of lack. And that's the fundamental dynamic I'm getting. Do you want to tell us a bit about it? And maybe it'll illuminate why I sense that.
Well, to to begin with, you once told me before about a C letter, and I overlooked that. But what you said about the C letter was perfectly to the T. And then last week you said to me there was an R, and my sister is an R, and she's not doing very well health-wise.
Okay, so it's similar to my last caller in the sense of health with her brother, or I'm sorry, maybe it was her sister actually. And so you're having health issues. So she's in a state of need. She needs physical support, needs emotional support, but also financial support. She's going to need the family to come around. And there's probably going to be legal papers and things. So, even though I don't think she's going to die from this health issue, it's one of those kinds of issues that make her look at her will and start drawing things up like that. That's probably where all those elements come into play. Okay, so let's keep looking here. Can I have your sister's first name? You said R. Is that like a Rachel or a Raina or something?
Rona.
Rona. Yeah, I was going more Raina, and I thought, why Raina? Oh, Rona's beautiful because Rona has that RNA that I'm looking for, RNRA.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's, and so remember with my last caller whose sister has cirrhosis of the liver, I had first asked her, is there a cancer type diagnosis? Because I think maybe this is more applicable to Rona. What's going on there?
Yeah, incurable.
Yeah, she's working through it and she's going to be okay. Does she have sons, or do you have a son that's very close to her?
I have a son.
Okay, because
she don't have any kids.
Because I see a young man who's like a son who really steps up and helps support her through some of this, like getting her to appointments and things. And I think 2 treatments or progress or positive news after 2 treatments is going to be the thing to remember there for her. Now, just to go back, I know you didn't write about this, but going back to the C name, you said that I had seen things that you didn't recognize at the time, and then it made sense later. Do you want to share about that story with us?
Yeah, you told me that I had a C, and I have 2 C's in my life. And one, I said, no, it can't be her. And you said, no, it can if she's talking to you. But after we hung up, I realized the one closest to me is a C. And you said that she had a few bad relationships and is finding one now that's
Brilliant.
really, really working. And this will be her third, basically, husband.
Okay.
And the other
Did
2,
you meet him online?
No, they knew each other.
There's something funny I want to associate with an online thing. So maybe before she reconnected with this fellow who will be her husband, maybe she was dealing with some idiot online who feels there's something humorous, I felt like there. So I want you to confirm that with her after the fact.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's interesting anyway. So, and she's like a niece or something to you. How do you relate to her? Stepdaughter. Yeah. Not niece energy. Yeah. She's lovely. Okay, so that might be also another character that's going to help. Maybe your stepdaughter will support you as you support your sister as well through this journey. But I think your sister can survive this.
It's incurable.
Yeah.
That's why I was asking. Like, apparently she don't have much time.
People live a long time. People live past their due dates, eh? And I think she's going to have some good news after something like 2 treatments. Now, I don't know if it's in 2 months or so. So, Vince van Leeuwenhoek was a great psychic, and we lost him a few years ago, but I had a premonition of my mother's death before my mom died, and my mother died suddenly in an accidental kind of way. So the fact that I saw it was really psychic. It wasn't like she was already kind of unhealthy. My mother was very healthy, and yet I saw her dying in a few years. And I asked Vince, and Vince said, well, inadvertently, she's preparing for her passing, which at the time sounded very mysterious. He says she's not going to go just yet, but in a way. And it turned out true because I had the premonitions. Deborah Hooper, who's a great psychic, I plan to get her on the show from up in Barrie. She predicted my mother's death a month before it happened because Deborah was in my office and she starts pacing around going, oh my God, my chest. She goes, something about the pills. She goes, your mother's heart. I said, well, my mother's fine. And my mother broke her foot on a vacation. And then as a result of the broken foot required surgery. So my mother was recovering from surgery when a blood clot formed and went through her heart, you see. So we all picked up on it correctly, but we didn't see enough to prevent it. And that really screwed me up for a long time as a psychic. Because it's like, what good is all this ability if I can't even save my own family? And yet the message was both, and Vince kind of channeled this in an inadvertent way. As he said, she's preparing for her passing in an inadvertent way. It's like we all go when we're meant to. But, you know, that being said, I think your sister will surprise us a bit with this, okay? So I want to just share all that with you. By the
That
way,
would
Judy, thank you very much for your call. We had another call in the weight room, but you had left. Please, if you call in, do not leave the weight room. Wait until I bring you on. So anyone else who wants to call in, feel free. And share your stories, guys. I want to come up with a new segment for this show. I want to talk a bit about. I was telling about this with Suzanne. I was talking about this earlier, where we want to sort of share our horror stories. I want you guys to share if you've been to fake psychics, if you've had a very bad experience with a psychic, tell us about it. I mean, it's interesting, it's entertaining, but also we want to, again, delineate between genuine phenomena versus the flawed, fake frauds out there. And also, what I do is not perfect. You know, my work is more of a craft. So there's Michael Jordan does not hit every single basket. You know, you're not going to get everything hole in one, but when you can learn to read between the lines a little bit and see why these impressions might be coming and do a little detective work, you can excavate the gold out of these experiences. But you need a real psychic for that. So we wanted to share some of the horror stories, and also horror stories of clients. None of you guys, of course. But there are occasionally, look, my pay grade is it's decent pay, but I'm not paid enough to be a psychiatrist, okay? I got some crazies that call me. Speaking of, let's bring Claudia on the line. We got my friend Claudia. Hi, Claudia.
Hi, bro. How are you?
Oh, you're on the camera, my beautiful friend, and you're calling in from Quebec, I believe.
I am from Montreal.
Have
That's
you?
very sweet of you. Thank you.
Thank you. And you know, you and I text because your beloved Gary came through during your first call. So I've gotten to know you and your beloved in spirit, and you do all this amazing work that I had channeled a bit about with a group of people who also had gone through loss. Is that right?
Yes, very much so, actually. And yeah, and I have some friends who are studying mediumship, and actually Gary came through and he talked about you, actually, sort of like you're kind of his guy. And it's kind of been very, very cool getting to know you in such a short period. So thank
I
you.
get a spirit hug. I feel a spirit hug. That's so nice. And you and
You
I are both
do?
wearing our white shirts today, so we must be in healing vibe mode. So, did you hear the beginning of the show? Do you have any comments or stories, or did you want to share something else on your mind?
Well, I was kind of having trouble connecting, but I did hear about the horrible story. And I kind of, from what I gathered, was about, charlatans and people who pretend to be mediums. And it just got me thinking about how sometimes people go into a reading with expectations and they don't really take their end of the responsibility. Like, it's kind of a three-way thing, the way that I've been in the last 2 years since my husband transitioned, or 3 years. I've sort of learned quite a bit because I didn't know about any of this before. I had never talked to a medium. And so my only aim was kind of to connect with them. But since then, I've learned, to me, it's such a shame that there are people like that, because it's such sacred work. I can't imagine, not having spoken to my husband or heard from him through you mediums. And so your work to me is very, very sacred, because that was the only healing thing. I don't even know how I would have survived without hearing him or hearing from him, with all the evidence. And the evidence too, some of it's very obvious. So, for example, I think Suzanne was one of the first mediums that I got connected to. And my husband had this inside joke, because I grew up in a French household and I only learned to speak English in second grade. And my brother had a divorce and his daughter was staying with us for a little bit when she was a kid. And then they were always singing that song, Skinnamarink Dinky Doo. And I'm like, what the hell is that? So he'd make fun of me. So it was kind of a really inside joke that only we would get, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
then they would laugh at me. And he's like, did you grow up in Canada? Where did you grow up? I used to watch, French shows, right, when I was a kid. So I never heard that song. And so when Suzanne came on, she didn't want to really say it, because she thought she heard that song in her head. Somebody was singing that song to her when it was time for a reading. And she didn't want to say it, but then she said it. And thank God she did, because it was like, yeah, of course, right? That was the first thing that came up.
It's that
And
evidence.
then, right. So there's there's other clues that are much less obvious, you know. So I think it's up to us sometimes to interpret, you know. For me it's a lot of songs like you know, I think my one time when I came on your show last month, I believe it was, and I was going to come on, Suzanne was on, and I heard, you know, of you through Suzanne, and you gave this 5 minute reading with Gary, which was really incredible. You know, just in those 5 minutes, just so much came up. And I was actually looking for a password back then, which you delivered, which was wonderful. I wasn't even expecting it. I thought it was
Right.
a little out there to ask you that. But in passing, you sort of just mentioned that you were talking about Gary, and then you mentioned you know, that he was making you taste Chinese food, or and then you saw a fish with an aquarium.
Hmm.
I don't know if you want me to tell the story,
Please
but I thought
do.
it was, so I didn't even pay attention to it because it was just in passing, and I was anxious because I was on your show and I'm a little radio shy. And
Hmm.
so you know, I didn't even really pay attention, and then you put the edit on for the password and that part wasn't on. And I went to see my mother-in-law for Mother's Day the week after, 2 weeks later, and I gave her the long version because I wanted her to hear her son, you know, and what the messages that were coming through. And she's at St. Anne's Veterans Hospital, she's in rehab
Hmm.
for her legs. She got two hip operations.
Oh.
And so we're eating in the lounge, you know, this big lounge, and I was showing her the video, and I actually hadn't had Chinese food in 2 years. And she's been in the hospital for 6 months, and she was really craving Chinese food. So I brought her, I Ubered in some Chinese food, and we were actually having it. And I'm showing her your video. And then you said, you know, oh, he's making me taste Chinese food. And now if I wouldn't have been open to that, right? Because I had totally forgotten that you had mentioned that in passing. So that was one thing. And then as soon as you said right after, oh, and I'm seeing a fish, like an Asian fish in an aquarium, and it's a huge floor, you know, the lounge at the hospital there.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I didn't know. And while right after you said that, somebody behind me, this man was talking to his granddaughter, and he was showing her the aquarium. I didn't know there was an aquarium there and there was a fish. So, you know, these to me are very big synchronicities, you know, where I was really sort of floored. And if I hadn't been open to it, or if you hadn't recorded it, you know, and do you know what I mean?
It's
On your
exactly
Facebook.
that.
So,
It's exactly,
so
and Suzanne and I were talking a bit about that because were lovely enough to send me a text update. And
yes.
we call you one of the best clients because you will take every little morsel of the reading that seems out of place, but then not that you're looking for where it fits. You weren't looking for it, but it's
No,
like then you go from having that reading with Gary to taking the next time you saw his mother was you bringing her Chinese food, totally not connecting the dots and realizing only there that Gary somehow either suggested you should do that because he knew that's what she likes, or he's in two places at once. It opened up a can of worms. We don't know what that means. Is Gary
right.
with us and there at the same time? This is an interesting question. And this is why I love to do this show. And in my readings privately, we come out with all kinds of phenomena like this. You know, like I have just the other day, a client, her new grandson remembers being her father, and even
Oh,
refers to
wow.
himself by her father's name, which was an unusual name, which is similar to Gary. It's Gerard, but in this family in Ontario, that's not, you don't hear Gerard very often, right? So,
Of
you know,
course, of
again,
course.
and they never talked about this grandfather, this great grandfather to the child. So, you know, you have all these phenomena that happen in my work. It's like some days I'm like, I'm more of a ghostbuster than a psychic. You know, I'm like a paranormal investigator over here, and it's true. And that's why I love your story so much. Yeah.
Well, it's well, thank you. It's thanks to you. And again, thank goodness that it was recorded and I was able to see the long version of it. And I think a lot of people who don't record their sessions, I mean, again, I don't have much experience, but just in the last 2 years, but I find sometimes, and in the beginning, I was grieving a lot, right? And so a lot of the mediums would record the sessions on Zoom, or if it was on phone, they would recommend to, like you do, to record the telephone conversations.
Yeah.
And I still to this day, sometimes when I go to bed and I'll listen to, let's say, a reading 2 years ago, because for me they're like little visitations with him, or
Hmm.
visits. And there are things on there that I didn't even hear, you know, 2 years ago, things that he said. And it's like our relationship has evolved, you know, over the last 2 years. In the beginning, it was more, I'm okay, and sort of a lot of evidence, whereas now it's more relationship. He's giving me advice kind of thing. And so it's really important, I think, to record. And I think, again, that responsibility of the three-way connection, you know, the sitter, the reader,
You bring up a
and the meet,
really
you know.
great topic, which dovetails into the suggestion I was talking about with Suzanne earlier, which is that we want to start talking about good clients versus bad clients. We want you guys to share your horror stories, not just all these accolades about how great I am. I love it, but it's like also let's look at the fact that this is a sullied field. I mean, it's not regulated. Imagine medicine before you had to go to medical school and get a degree and a license to practice. There was snake oil salesmen on every street corner claiming that this cure would cure all their ills, and there was a lot of charlatans in the field of medicine until they regulated it. And my field is unregulated. You know, in Canada, I've talked about before, the tax code for fortune teller is shared by the same tax code as prostitutes. So the government really doesn't know how to make good money. They just know I'm good at it. And the point is, again, when I try to delineate for clients the difference between genuine paranormal phenomena and the fake frauds and flim-flam out there, it's going to protect you from those negative experiences. But you bring up the very important point of the client having a responsibility in the process as well. And the reason I used to try to record the readings for my clients, but I would hear back from them 3, 4, 5 years later saying, "Do you still have my recording?" And it's like, I don't have the size. Do you understand how big a computer would have to be for me to just record all of the readings I do in a year and save them all? And then you have the problem of how much maybe Bro goes back and listens to my reading if I ever come back to him, and then he can remember me, and that's how he used. And no, all of that, I don't want responsibility for that. I don't have the capacity to run an operation like that. So I put it on my clients to record. And I find the ones who don't record are more often people that just want a life reading about their job or whatever.
Yes.
But people like yourself who are trying to connect to a child who's passed away or a spouse or a parent, they record the audio because, like you said, you can relive it. You can even get more from the session. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think I don't know that it would be your responsibility to keep all that data or all those recordings for years, right? I mean, I think it's up to us. We have the reading, we keep the recording, whether you give it to us or whether we do it ourselves, and then keep it somewhere sacred or special because, you know, it's kind of it's messages, you know, from beyond. And I can't even imagine what is more special than that, especially for a child or a parent who's lost their child in that first connection, because you don't even believe it sometimes. And I think you don't remember half the things that we listen to. And even if it's a life reading, I would think that you would want to record it because of if it is going to come true,
Veracity.
you know,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And,
Right.
and I always find it strange when they don't, you know, but I used to be more strict about it and say, you better record. But now if they don't record, I just let it go because I don't want to alienate them or make them feel bad. But really, you're right. You're right. It is about recording it and getting the veracity of it. And I think it's more points in my favor that I don't record for you because, again, I don't want a record. I need to be clear. I need to be objective. So I leave it up to the clients. In this day and age, everyone can record a call. That's another thing. Back in the day when I started in 1999, we still used tape recorders. But even then, I would have my client bring their own tape, and I would put it in my recorder, but then they take their tape with them. I didn't want the responsibility of having to buy tapes and, you know, and screw it up. And even then with the tape recorder, when I would record, energies would make the recording go wobbly and wonky, and it would record static, and then my client be mad at me. So I'd rather them just get mad at themselves if they can't record it properly than have the blame.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Oh no, there's all kinds of things in my field that people never think about from the perspective of being a client. You don't think of what it's like for the psychic. So that's one of the reasons I want to share that too with Suzanne. But thank you so much for all this validation, your call, Claudia.
That was a pleasure. I did want to say one more thing that
Sure.
I thought might be important to say if we have time, just very quickly, because I think it's important too, is also the interpretation, you know, like when I was doing some practice sessions with other mediums. And, you know, for example, somebody was talking about something, and they were talking about a medical bag, you know, like those old-fashioned medical bags. And then her partner happened to be a doctor, but she has a knapsack because it's more modern, right? So like sometimes we think, okay, no, I don't really know of any medical bag. You're picturing that black medical bag. So, you know, that reference and the interpretation, we can interpret it differently. So just to kind of keep an open mind. I don't know why I'm throwing that in. I just thought it'd be important. Sorry, bro.
No, it's
I'll let you
great.
go now
It's
to your
great.
your
It's
other
great.
callers.
And Leslie,
Thank you.
oh, thank you, Claudia. Leslie says in the chat that Chris, the tarot medium, records, and it's nice for clients. It is, but you have to remember Chris is only 2 years in, so he doesn't have the long wait list. And he doesn't do as many of the readings that I do, and I think it's very posh that he gets on Zoom and goes on camera and sends you a recording and a transcription of your reading in text and a picture of the tarot spread that he got for you. It's a really great, hey, wow, this is top-notch service. If I were to do that level of service, I start to hit walls when people, and even Chris said to me privately, he goes, yeah, I had a client the other day said, do you have my reading from 2 years ago? And he's like, you have 48 hours to download the file. And after that, it's up to you. I can't keep. And so what I think Chris and a lot of other psychics who do offer the recordings for the clients haven't realized yet is that they are taking responsibility for something they shouldn't. And you really run into problems. If a client trusts you and you're the one saying, I will handle the recording, then it really is your responsibility if you don't have it for them, or if something happens in the recording process. And even if I did, if somehow one day it becomes easier for me to record and send you the file where I won't need a dedicated computer to do that, because that's thousands of dollars, keep in mind. I'd have to buy a dedicated computer for that, with its own external memory and everything. Even if I did that, I would still have my clients record their own copy, just to be safe. So again, I don't know. I've figured it out. I know Leslie. I know it's nice. Chris is very nice. He has a whole setup for you. I don't offer that. I'm just not that. I'm not that posh. I'm sorry. I'll never be that posh. Anyway, thank you, Claudia.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll talk to you again. We'll bring Melanie in. Melanie will have something to share. And I see a couple of callers that I'll try to get to everyone. We'll see how it goes. Hi, Melanie.
Hi. Hi.
Hey there, my friend. So what have you got for me today? Do you have a question, or did you want to comment or share a story?
I had a question, just in regards to my career, just to kind of see where things are, I guess, going and like kind of gauge like what might be happening in the next year or two.
Well, that could go a million different directions, but what I'm specifically honing in on is the idea that you need to wait for approval for something. Are you waiting to get accepted into a course or something like this?
I'm not really waiting to get accepted into a course. I am thinking about taking a certification to kind of like further my I guess leadership like abilities. Like, as far as like getting a promotion or in like I work in cybersecurity. So and it's a CISSP certification that I'm thinking about doing.
Yeah, it's going to be either connected to that. I don't know if it is, though, because again, this is not the same as a private, proper 1 hour reading where I can really get in detail on this, but just something's telling me you have to be accepted into a new kind of course, a new direction, and you will be once you apply yourself, but you're not ready yet. You might be ready to apply yourself in January. I don't know if it's this coming or next, but it's going to be in the next couple of years either way. And once you make that choice, everything else starts to unravel for you. It's interesting, our destiny is kind of kept safe for us in a cosmic bank account. And it's not as easy to say it's going to happen on a specific date, because some of the things your soul plans for you before you're born are planned in such a way where once you choose to reach up and grab it, then it will open up for you. But it'll stay in holding until you do what you need to do. So there is a choice. It's on you. It's not going to be your boss firing you or offering you a promotion that you can't resist. It's not going to come to you on a silver platter, as is the case for some people. I'll see that for one client. I'll say, oh, you're just going to, don't even worry about the problem at work because your boss is going to leave and a new one will come in and you don't have to do anything. In your case, Melanie, you do it. You're the one creating the change, and it will hinge on acceptance for a program of some kind. And I think it's going to be great. I think you can be very happy with it. In the meantime, I see your work kind of just plodding along the way it's been. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever had a private, proper reading with me?
I have. It was back in, I think, February.
Oh, so not that long ago. Now,
Yeah.
I wouldn't remember anything I've seen, but does what I say today line up with any of the predictions in that reading?
It does. Because you've said I seem to be getting into something medical. And you're still kind of like staying on the course of like going into a new track, because right now I'm in cybersecurity.
And it's a good field. It's just not optimal for your gifts. You know, there is this concept of being as educated as you ought to be. If you have the potential, you should strive for that potential. And so I think that's going to motivate you. Yeah, but again, I don't see a huge rush on this. Do you have two little kids yet?
I don't. I'm not married or not in a
Because
relationship or anything yet.
go back to your reading, whether you recorded or took notes, because I have a feeling that part of your life starts to move and so when you sense and feel like you have more support in your romantic life, you'll probably make more bold decisions in your career life, which I realize is counterintuitive. You would think it's the opposite, but actually in your case, it's that way. So that'll be interesting to find out when you call back. Thank you very much, Melanie, as always. So we'll keep you in the wait room here. We're bringing in area code 905. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi there. May I have your first name and where you're calling from?
Anne from Welland.
Hi, Anne from Welland. Now, have you ever called in before?
No, never.
Oh, fabulous. Did you just see me randomly on Facebook pop up, or did you follow the page earlier?
Yeah, I was just following the page.
Fabulous. Well, I love it. We love new callers. Did you have a question you wanted to ask tonight?
Yes, I did.
Sure. I'm getting spirit activity around you, by the way. I get all kinds of spirit activity around you. Even though you want to know about your health, I get spirit activity, meaning you have a lot of visitors. You've got parents in spirit. I don't know if it was your father or your grandfather, but one of them died early. There's a young man who, I don't think it's your grandson, but did you lose a nephew or something like that years ago?
My brother.
Oh, your brother was quite young.
My brother passed away.
Was he only
in his early 40s?
I was going to say 30s or 40s or something. Yeah, so he was already quite young. Yeah. He's watching over you all the time. Is he Bob or Robert, or is that somebody older?
No, Danny.
Oh, he's Danny. Keep Bob or Robert on your list of names that I give you, because that you'll find after this is over that this is an important person to your brother and to your family history. Now,
really?
In terms of your health, I'm drawn to a couple of different areas. I'm going down, like toward legs and joints and knees, and so I'm getting a couple of things. I also see an internal organ, so there's two areas. So I'm going to deal with one first. I'm going to talk about your knees and your legs and inflammation. And I'm also going to talk about a bit with, now I'm coughing, but I don't think this has to do with your health. I think that's just me coughing. Because you never know. With me, you never know. So what I get is you're going to take an approach to an anti-inflammatory diet, which is going to be really helpful for you. You're going to cut dairy out, which is going to be helpful at another level, which I'll talk about in a minute. But you're getting rid of mucus, you're getting rid of dairy, you're getting rid of a lot of inflammatory things. You're going to be better at upping your protein and your greens and getting your supplements, okay? And it would probably benefit you to look into the Arctic Kemp that I talked about earlier. Now, that's sort of in the long run, kind of keep you stable, keep you walking, keep you able to exercise. At another level, I'm going to an internal organ. I'm actually going to two different organs. On one level, I can't tell if it's the pancreas or the or the liver or something. I'm going in the bowels, and then I'm feeling like from there, irregularities can cause the hormones and the glands of your body to act up. So your immune system is flaring up, which people will see that, and test results will make doctors wonder about cancer and things like this. And then there's the eyes, the eyesight as well, but in one eye in particular. Now, just to handle all of this, I see you getting a treatment on your eye in the future, maybe in the next 4.5 years. It may be a treatment they do not currently have, but it's going to keep you driving. It's going to keep you mobile. Now, in the more serious category of the organ flaring up and everything, and getting strange readings on your lymphatic system, what's been going on there? Have they been worried about an autoimmune thing or a cancer thing?
No, I never even thought of cancer.
When you ask about health, what's the main symptom you're thinking of?
My legs. I'm talking about. I don't know whether it's my legs or my back, because I've been having a really hard time walking.
I went down to your. So the first thing I got was the truest for you. Keep the pancreatic kind of area as a side message that will come up in the next year.
Okay.
It's now I'm going to tell you what I think it is. It's not cancer, okay? Even though the glands will be going crazy and the doctors will worry, it's not cancer. You'll get that checked out anyway. What
Yeah.
people will worry about with the pancreas and sometimes with the appendix even is you might have an autoimmune system that's causing irritation in your gut, but they're going to think it's the pancreas, or they're going to think it's the liver, or they're going to think it's this or that. So it's a misdirection because of the symptoms. And what you really have to get a hold of is your gut health. And that's going to be something that you're going to take care of. Now, your gut biome, which is all the natural bacteria that help everything function right, people who drink too much can wipe out their gut biome unintendedly. People who take antibiotics or are on sort of medical treatments, lots of medications, can have that biome wiped out. So you're going to replenish it. You're going to work on it from that level, from a dietary perspective. So that in combination with the anti-inflammatory diet, that's going to help bring a lot of relief to your particular problems, you see. What about the one eye that I was getting? Do you have a problem with vision?
Actually, yes. The doctor is keeping an eye on the one eye.
Because they're showing
my mom
me,
was totally blind.
Yeah, because they're showing me they're going to reverse the problem there within 4 years. So mommy had that?
My mom was nearly totally blind when I was young. Mm-hmm. Like she was blind for many years.
Yeah. So that's the health reading I get on you. And so those are the areas to take care of.
Really?
And they all tie in together. You know that old song, the hip bone's connected to the ankle bone. And so you don't even realize how much of your inflammation can be coming from gut problems that you haven't diagnosed. Because doctors are not trained as dietitians and gut health people. They're trained to be reductionist, and they're trained to rule things out, but they don't always have the full knowledge. So that's where you're going to start to see the rubber meets the road with your healing. Yeah.
Because I went for MRIs and stuff, and I'm just waiting to find out the results this month.
Well, let us know.
But I already thought it came with my back.
Yeah, the good news
back
is
and my leg.
The back, the legs, all of that is tied to inflammation. Now, there could be elements of what they call like osteoporosis involved, but I think the treatment that you'll take in addition to whatever the doctors give you is this naturalistic approach that will really take the edge off and help clear the way for healing. People will go into remission of problems like this, and I think that's possible for you. Again, the live streams are not exactly the same as a proper private reading. So it's always recommended to get a proper private reading, but from just you saying health, not even directing me to any area of your body, I'm zoning in on all the areas that I think you need to look at. And so you've confirmed at least 2 of them. So the third one will make more sense this next year for you. Thank you very much for your call. Now that was Anne from Welland. We're going to bring Vivian on the line. Let's bring Vivian. Let's see. Vivian. I always want to say Vivian. I don't know why. Vivian, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good, good. Did you have a question for me tonight?
Yeah, I was looking towards, I guess like I'm at a crossroads, and I was wondering as far as my career, kind of like my daughter.
Well, what you do next in your career is really, in some senses, the final chapter of the official career before you retire. Okay, so that's one thing to look at. I am getting ideas of customer service, helping relationships be smooth, finding answers and troubleshooting. I see a door being opened for you, so it could be a friend or a family member who gets you the job or gives you the opportunity somehow. I see the month of May, which of course is behind us, but if you didn't already hear about an opportunity in May, it's next year. Okay, it's next May probably. And I see a man being a very positive figure at that job. He'll be a boss or a figure. Now, it's a different job than you've done, but although it may be somewhat related to the fields you've been in. And this man, I don't know. I wanted to give him an M initial, but it's very faint. I can't see it as clearly as I'd like to. But that's what I get in terms of the changes for you. So you could call it a lateral move. Does that line up with some of the ideas you've had?
I was thinking, well, I was studying accounting right now. So I was wondering if that was a possibility.
Well, it could be in the field, but it could be more administrative on some level when you get involved in a firm. So all the other
Okay.
elements of what I was sharing. And then, you could also look at what I'm seeing as a stepping stone before you get fully into maybe, I think your accounting will be done in private on the side as a side hustle. I don't think it'll be your main job, to be honest with you. Just to cut to the chase, I don't think it's your main job. Although I think that you doing that course is useful because that could help you with some side hustle.
Okay.
And so you're doing some books on the side, but your main gig is a door that's opened for you through a friend or a colleague that you already know. Yeah. And who knows what that M name is. That M name should be important as well. All right. Thank you very much for your call, Vivian. And what we'll do, we'll take one more call. I've got Sandra on the line. Sandra's a good friend of the show, so we'll say hello. Hello, my friend. Oh, you're foggy. Holy Moses, Sandra, you're foggy, or you're broadcasting from the other side. I don't know what this veil is. But you'll have to unmute yourself, honey. Don't worry about the camera. Just focus on the microphone. If you can hit the microphone button, you'll unmute yourself. There you are.
Hello, bro.
Hi there. I kind of like the fog. I think it suits the atmosphere of the show.
I think it must be the light is very diffuse tonight.
That's right. That's right. So how are you doing, honey? It's been a while. Yeah.
Yes, I've been having a few problems with my chest. I've had some awful colds here. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But I was sort of wondering, had two questions. I haven't been feeling Dave around me for quite a while, but and wondering if you see anything in my medical future.
Yeah. So Dave's with you. He's so much with you that you're not noticing him as much, but he's with you every day, every single day. I'm told to tell you. I was going down. I don't know if you have a basement there, but somewhere there's some things packed away downstairs. I feel like that he's rummaging through, or has on purpose moved objects to make a noise or something. So he'll do that as a sign, which will be funny.
Okay.
Medically, you're okay. It's one thing after another. It's like fixing the leaky boat, and then another leak springs up elsewhere. That's what it feels like to you. You've got a very good attitude about it. Like you're sort of in, and not to be morbid, but you're like, yeah, well, I'm ready to go whenever whenever God wants me. But it's not your time yet, you see. And so you're really working through this, and you're doing some healing, which by the way, seems, at first like just chaos of life. We're all going to break down, but you don't realize that some of the areas of your health that crop up are going to later be important to your grandkids and their health. So them seeing you, how you deal with it now, and some of the healing techniques you find will be useful information for them down the road. So don't forget, that's part of it. You're on a mission in a way. So let's look at it like sickness is not your fault, but healing is your responsibility. And so that's something I channeled for a medical doctor once, and she put that quote in her office. Turns out to be some other famous person's quote that I just probably channeled. I always think I'm original, but I'm never original, by the way. So that being the case, now I don't think it's your heart. I think it's just general respiratory and weakness with maybe some circulation. So you could say connected to heart, but it's more circulatory and respiratory. And I'm also seeing, of course, the seizing up through intense stress and grief of nerves down your spine, your neck, and your back. And so some leg stuff too. So one of the things I heard Louise Hay talked about with not just any kind of osteo problem, but also swelling and mobility. She's like, well, at a psycho-spiritual level, you don't feel like you have all the support you need. And that's exactly what a person who's gone through what you've gone through would feel, being widowed from your life partner. It's like, oh my God, I don't want to put my burden on my grandkids. So the lesson spiritually for you in this health is to learn to allow your family to help you more, which is hard for you to do, I know, because you've always been the giver. You're always the caregiver for everybody else. And now it's time for you to learn to let them help you. When you practice that mentally, especially when you find yourself feeling downtrodden, depressed, which is not like you at all, just remember these words that I have to find a way to let others help me more. I can even ask for what I need, and you know what would be nice? That's a good opening line. I see you using that phraseology. It's like, what would be lovely? What would be nice? I haven't had this in a while, or it would be nice to see you, or what have you, whatever you need to ask for. And then the rest of it, I feel being really cared for by the physicians. And I don't sense any problems with your medical treatments. So I think the treatments are on course for you. Now, have they done anything with steroids for you before?
My God, bro, you really are coming through. I just had my knee injected, and there's further examinations. They had turned me down about my hip because of allergic reactions to the drugs. And I was in to see the doctor last Thursday, and he doesn't know why they couldn't use the same drug that he's using on my knee. So he's pursuing that right now, and I'm waiting for him to get back to me.
It's gonna work. That's gonna go fabulously. You're gonna feel a lot better by midsummer. I mean, probably early July. And then a stem cell or T cell or something, some kind of T cell or stem cell treatment on another part of your body in the future, maybe your hip, will be miraculous. But these are things that don't necessarily are not available to you just yet. But I sense that that's going to be another part of the story. Yeah. So you're saying they injected you with some steroids already and it worked. So yeah, more of that to come.
Bro, when you talk about all of these things about my outlook and everything, I was updating my will and doing those things today. And I'm sure you're picking up on all of the things I was writing down for my kids and asking them to do certain things. And you're spot on with it, as usual.
Good. Because when I read for clients like you who have been to me before, I always get nervous. I'm like, I got to beat my old act. I've got to be better than I used to be so that I can keep getting stuff for you makes me happy.
You've been, every time I've spoken to you, you've always given me such insight and making things easier looking forward. And it's always a great comfort to talk to you.
I take that to heart, Sandra. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And what a great note for us to wrap up on this week. So what we'll do is we'll take calls next week. I'll probably have Suzanne back if she her schedule permits, and we're going to look at other psychics to come on as well that I'm going to introduce you to and take calls with them. So with that said, have a wonderful night all. Again, thank you for your calls, and let's think for next week about horror stories. Have you had a reading that was disastrous? Have you been to a fake psychic? Let us know. It's entertaining. Let's make fun of it. And we'll talk about the difference between real psychics, fake ones. Take care, everyone.
And a friend might